Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back. Today's video we will be doing TSM versus FlyQuest. This is week 5, day 2 of the LCS Spring Split. So let's just get right into it. So I'll be doing this one a little bit different than how I normally do these. Normally I already have the draft already done, but we're actually going to be playing through the draft, and I'll be talking about the draft as it goes. This isn't ×2 speed, so it will be a little bit quicker. I might pause to talk about a couple things, but anyways, let's just get right into it. Cool. So coming in with the bans, I talked about this in one of my other VoD reviews, but I'll talk about it right now. People get held up on the bans a lot about people getting locked into certain bans. So bans in the first phase, barring a couple of very specific bans, are largely team specific, especially on blue side. That's why we see the Irelia Yasuo ban right here. I mean, Yasuo is a really strong pick in the meta. Irelia is a pretty, average in terms of power within the meta right now. But first phase bans are really entirely team specific to what you want to run on this day, like your prepared game plan versus what you think the enemy's prepared game plan is going to be in the first phase, or largely what those are. And then kind of the staple type bans that you'll see in most games are going to be the Urgot, the Lucian, Ezreal, and Nocturne are going to be the bans you might see in every game, and maybe the Yasuo. So I just see a lot of people get really hung up on bans right now. So in the meta that we're currently in, there's no champions that are just like crazy overpowered in the meta that are must first pickable. There's champions that are definitely like first pickable, but that you want to take first pick if you can. But it's not like Worlds meta where, like, if Akali, Irelia, Aatrox, Urgot's open, like, you're trolling if you first pick Tahm Kench, you know what I mean? Like, even though Tahm Kench is a powerful champion. And the reason why that is all those champions got nerfed. All the champions that were super powerful got nerfed, and a lot of the champions... And there's a lot of viable strategies to win League of Legends right now. There's like a lot of optimal ways to play League of Legends. Like 4-1 is really good, 1-3-1 is really good, playing poke siege compositions is really good. Playing compositions that control bot river control for neutrals is really good. Late game scaling is not good, even though it's working a little bit. I promise it's not good to give 3 lanes up. Yeah, you can make some scaling compositions, but just building that way is not that great. But these bans are coming specifically for FlyQuest just based off of what they ran yesterday, as well as their strong champion. So these bans make sense. As well as this can tell you that when you ban these type of champions, this could maybe say that that TSM wants to pick Ezreal, maybe wants to pick Ezreal Zoe or something like that. So the Ezreal is banned right here. If you want to pick like poke marksmen, the Ezreal's banned, so they opt into Jayce. So that's another poke style champion and a split push option. So I do really like the Jayce first pick. Cool. And Nocturne's solid first pick on red side. Cool. Seeing things rounding out right here. And the Alistar picked right here. So what I would like to see right here, actually, this isn't what's picked. Some of this is picked. As soon as I see the Alistar Nocturne pick, as soon as I see Nocturne, I'm picking Tahm Kench. Just gives a whole ton of denial, as well as Tahm Kench, just super powerful. And as soon as I see the Alistar, I'm picking Sylas. So these are 2 super powerful ultimates, as well as Sylas is actually a good champion. And the way the Sylas and Alistar ult interaction works in the late game is actually insane. Like, you are so overpowered, you steal the Alistar ult at the beginning of the fight, you go in with the Alistar ult, and then as the Alistar ult times out, you're ready to grab another ultimate just based on how the cooldown works. Because your cooldown if you have max cooldown reduction, your cooldown is 9 seconds. You take the Alistar ult, as it runs down, you just wait like 1 or 2 seconds and you can grab another ultimate. And you're just an ultra super tank the whole time. As well as, like, Sylas is just a powerful champion. So that's what I would actually take right here, rather than what they take. They take the Tahm Kench Varus, which I don't think they necessarily have to take here, because I don't think Varus is going to be a contested pick, and Sylas may be a contested pick in terms of what they're banned, because if I was FlyQuest, I definitely would ban Sylas in the second phase. If I were them, I think what they're thinking is, since they picked Zoe, that TSM wouldn't pick Sylas to match the Zoe, because that's a useless ultimate to steal. But you're giving them the Alistar and the Nocturne ultimate, so I would I would have banned Sylas. As soon as, yeah, I would have banned Sylas. I'm just saying. So as soon as I see a Tahm Kench locked in on the enemy team, I know Sylas is a very good pick. Sylas late game with a Tahm Kench, or not Tahm Kench ultimate, with a Alistar ultimate is actually insane. The Olaf ban is pretty good here. So the Olaf ban makes a lot of sense because you know TSM is going to have priority lanes because they have the Varus and they have the Jayce. So Olaf ban makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Malphite ban just because it's a Jayce counter makes sense. And they already have damage champions, so makes sense that they'd have a tank. And then so the flip side, why you ban, you'll see teams that have priority lanes. You'll see them ban Olaf, Zac, it just as like a base double ban. And the reason why you'd want to do that is like the thought process is all right, they have priority lanes, so when you have priority lanes, that gives you the ability to play forward or to be able to play defensively, and so you can play both of those styles. So Olaf wants to go forward, Zac wants to farm up his camps and then play forward. So that ban makes some sense, but I don't think Zac is a ban you have to do there. I don't like the Zac ban, like, really, because it doesn't really have any synergy with their comp. It just makes sense in the sense of that they can protect the Zac from getting counter jungled, and Nocturne doesn't really counter jungle that well anyways. But I would have really liked the Sylas ban there, just because based off of these two champions picked there. Cool. The Sivir pick makes a lot of sense there. Sivir pick's good. I will love Sivir. Okay. Sivir Alistar is a really good combo. Sivir plays with their tank line really well, so Sivir Alistar is just a great combo. Helps Alistar go forward. And sure enough, we get the Sylas lock in. Yep, Sylas is really good here with the Alistar and Nocturne, as well as stealing the Sivir ult was also really good too. Cool. And Sejuani is really great here because Sejuani is super good at shadowing split pushers. So if they want to have a split push option with, if they want to set up a 1-3-1 option, Sejuani is great at shadowing those, and as well as how the passive stacks up with Sylas and Jayce is really good. That makes a whole ton of sense. And then the last pick over here is going to be Camille, and I don't like the last pick Camille, and then I'll explain why in just a second. I'll tell the thought process and why it makes sense, but okay. Cool. All right, so they kind of switched around a little. Let me go back 5 seconds. Let me let him pick and then pause it. Okay, we'll go invert over there. Okay, anyways, cool. So here we are at the actual at where all the champions are picked. And so here we are with the Camille pick, and I'll tell you what the thought process is with the Camille pick, and then I'll tell you why it doesn't make a little bit of sense with the overall team compositions and the issues with the little bit of issues with FlyQuest team composition. So the reason why you picked a Camille pick right here is FlyQuest really likes having a split pusher, and Nocturne is really good at shadowing a split pusher, so that's why that makes sense. Is that Camille, Nocturne's really good at shadowing a split pusher. Camille, as a top lane split pusher right now, is having a little bit of a hard time. Those nerfs that they gave to her in the jungle is so that they can properly balance her for the top lane. So she is a relatively weak top laner in terms of that. Her item timings in terms of when she's going to eventually outscale Jayce is pretty long. So she'll need about 3 items before she'll be able to actually win out in the side lane, and by that time the game's pretty weird. You know, the game is pretty decided by the time it gets to that point, but if the game can get to that point, that's going to be a big bonus for your composition. So that makes sense, right? So you have that split push option, and Nocturne's really good at shadowing, just like Sejuani's really good at shadowing, so they're going to be fighting to try to get their split pusher ahead, but Jayce has a much better time getting ahead in that matchup. So definitely taking the late game approach to that matchup, Camille will eventually outscale and will do that. So that all makes a little bit of sense, but it doesn't make sense in where the game's probably going to be decided. But where it doesn't make sense within their composition is to where the rest of their composition kind of fits in is that the rest of this team comp over here kind of wants to team fight. They have the Zoe that kind of has the objective control and the objective control and the pick potential and all that good stuff, and the Sivir can kind of supplement that. The problem with this is Sivir really wants to fight with their tank line, and she doesn't really have a tank line because the Alistar is going to be moving straight into the enemy team. So there's what I mean by Sivir wants to fight with her tank line is she kind of is like a more unique AD carry where she ults with her tanks and then she's in the fight with her tanks and she kind of kites around with her tanks, and not having a front line is going to be a little bit of a harder time. And Camille, when she gets into the fight, FlyQuest really likes to set up those TP flanks. Doesn't really have anything to jump onto. I mean, you jump onto the Jayce and then you just kind of have a 1v1. And Jayce is going to win that out most of the game. You jump onto the Varus, he's just going to eat him. You jump onto the Sylas, he might just win out in the 1v1. So you really don't have a whole lot of options in terms of kill until you get to that like 3-item mark, and then you maybe beat the Jayce in the 1v1. Barring that you just get really ahead into the early game based off of like jungle pressure. So I really don't like the Camille pick here. I think they maybe should have just indexed into... Maybe here should have just indexed into a tank, right? Just indexed into like a gracefully losing tank right here, and look for a powerful team fighting composition that they can look to pick with their Alistar, Sivir, and Nocturne. Kind of hard to say. I really think TSM navigated this draft pretty well. I think they got a lot of what they shouldn't have been able to get. I don't think they should have been able to get Sylas in the second half of the draft, and they should have missed out on getting the Zoe, right? Like they missed out on getting the Zoe, they picked the Varus instead. So just kind of rough. I want to like FlyQuest's draft is fine, but like their draft is fine and it makes sense. But I think specifically in this game, TSM definitely did win out in the draft, just based off of how this game. How the fight, I'm just imagining how these fights will actually go and how the lanes will actually play out. It just makes a lot more sense for TSM. Cool. All right, looking over at TSM's composition, and I haven't really talked about win conditions, but looking over at TSM's composition, I really like what they have going on. So we'll just talk about lane matchups real quick. So in terms of priority and lane matchups, so Jayce is going to have the winning matchup for majority of the game, like 90% of the game. He has the winning matchup in the 1v1. So he's gonna have prio, gonna have the kill threat advantage in the top lane for the majority of the game. In mid lane, the Sylas does offer a lot of wave clear as early as level 2, so he can actually get priority if he wants to. The only thing about this matchup is he does get hard out range, so it is difficult for Sylas to actually trade effectively in this matchup. So you can expect to maybe get behind in this matchup or have like negative health trades. So. But you can clear the waves kind of at will if you really need to navigate around the map, so you can look to do that. But you don't have a whole lot of kill threat outside of jungle pressure. Cool. In the bottom lane with the Varus Tahm Kench versus the Sivir Alistar, so you do win a lot of the early trades. So Tahm Kench can bully out a lot of melee supports at level 1 and level 2. But Sivir does pretty decently into Varus. Varus normally bullies out a lot of people, but you know, obviously she can just spell shield all of your bully, and that's just free mana for her. So she just walks into your abilities, and that allows her to clear out the minion wave. So expect this matchup to be. This is kind of like honestly a handshake matchup. Varus kind of wins the early trades, but then after that, the lane kind of. Expect it to maybe be in a neutral state, probably in the Sivir Alistar favor, because she can just spell shield and then have infinite mana. So probably in the Sivir Alistar favor, but don't expect a lot of kills in the bottom lane, barring somebody makes a mistake or jungle pressure. Cool. And then specifically at the jungle matchup, this is a lot of farm matchup. So what the junglers can do in this game. So just recapping on priority, should have prio top for TSM, can have prio mid if they want to. Early prio bottom, but then we'll probably lose priority after a couple levels in bottom lane. So pretty balanced game in terms of the laning phase. You will see TSM will probably, they really like to get their side laner ahead because they do have some 1-3-1 options that they can run. So TSM might really look to get their side laner ahead. in the early game, but so that's an option they can look for. Basically, FlyQuest wants to farm up for their level 6 for their Nocturne, and Nocturne can make a lot of plays with both of the side lanes, so it can make a lot of plays with both of the side lanes. And the mid lane just basically just going to be farming, is what you can pretty much expect. Oh, cool. So let's talk really about win conditions. So just talking a little bit about win conditions. So what TSM's comp really can do, they have a couple different options. They can run a decent 1-3-1 setup with the Sylas and Jayce in the side lanes if they can get their side laners ahead. So they can run a decent 1-3-1 setup if they'd like to. Can win out in the side lanes for most of the game. But they actually have a really good siege and can win out in the poke game. So they can actually have the Sylas just collect side waves and then rotate the Jayce into the mid lane with the Varus and look for poke trades and have control over neutral objectives, which is usually the job of the Jayce, but or usually the job of Zoe, which is why you pick Zoe, and that's the advantage of picking Zoe in the draft. But that's another thing that Jayce can give you in the draft, and that's the thing that Varus give you in the draft. So having the Jayce and having the Varus in the game, and this is going to be a lethality Varus, can give you can win out a lot in the poke trades, and then you can obviously have a lot of objective control. So you can have a lot of objective control around the neutrals, and you can siege really well around like the outer towers and the inner towers. So it can look for a lot of siege, and this team comp comes online at that 1 item mark and has some decent scaling in this game. So even though this Varus is going lethality, and Jayce is obviously lethality, something FlyQuest doesn't have at all is tanks. So that's another issue with their composition. Cool. So that's a win condition for them. So they have a really good poke siege composition. They can also do some 1-3-1. So we'll come down a little bit the execution, obviously, but can do a lot of different things with their comp. But definitely like what they have going on over here. Cool. Looking over at FlyQuest. So as I said, this is going to be expected to be a pretty quiet early game in terms of what's going on. A lot of farming lanes. Can look to make a lot of plays around level 6, especially with the side lane. So Nocturne can make plays with the bottom lane, has a lot of good gank setup, and make plays with the top side. And could look to get some early Drake control, because as I said, can get the prio bottom. And then Zoe, after a first back, can start to match priority and get some really positive health trades in the mid lane. So can get some early neutral control with the Nocturne if you'd like, and then can make plays around level 6. The issue they're going to run into the game is if their split pusher gets behind, not being able to match in the split, and as well as just getting sieged to death. So something that they're going to have to do is look for some really creative plays jumping onto their poke comp. So they do have a lot of engage tools, so engaging onto what TSM has in terms of their poke composition and looking for creative plays could be a way that they can win the game, because they have a lot of one-item spikes in terms of the Nocturne, the Zoe. Camille does decently one item, Alistar, and then has some scaling options, but the issues with their scaling is that they don't really have a true tank, and they have, and TSM's composition is a poke composition, a poke siege composition with with 2 lethality champions, and you don't have a tank, and Sylas with the infinite scaling. So FlyQuest definitely has like the onus on them to try to make some creative plays in this game to win the game. Definitely a winnable game for FlyQuest, and will come a lot down to execution. I definitely favor TSM in this draft. I think TSM definitely won out in the draft and have a lot clearer win conditions. But if FlyQuest can make some creative plays, get some early leads around neutrals, could look to win this game. Cool. So let's just get right into it. Actually, I haven't watched this game in a couple days, and I've watched a ton of League of Legends since this game. So actually, I mean, I know obviously the outcome, but don't remember all of the details. So this will be fun to do. I just say Cloud9 versus COG right there. That's weird. Cool. Alrighty. How long did I do the intro? Damn, that was 20 minutes I talked about the draft. Jesus Christ. I love talking about draft. Okay, let's see where people start. Any funny business go on at level 1? I don't think so, right? Maybe? A little bit of poke. Oh, he has to chug a pot. That's pretty good. He has to chug a pot. Okay, they are having the leash bottom, so they'll probably lose out on priority bottom. So that's going to allow Akaadian to path towards top for level 2. Okay, he's doing top scuttle. Okay, but the Varus lane is going to lose out on priority, so that is what it's going to do to that lane though. And the Nocturne's just going to full core towards bottom. So if Nocturne's full coring towards bottom, he's going to get a recall and be able to be on top side for his first gank if he wants to look for a gank. Maybe look for a lane gank, something like that. Looks like that's what they're both doing. Okay, yeah. That's smart by Santorin, because for sure, I mean, I obviously know what happens in the game, but for sure, like where Sejuani wants to make plays, and based off of if you've done any prep on how TSM plays, is they really like to get their side laners ahead, or really like to get their split pushers ahead in the early game, and that makes a lot of sense towards their win condition. If they want to make their win condition a little bit broader, so Sejuani, the reason why Akaadian did his pathing that way, he did red and then did top scuttle and then path towards down bottom, is so that he can base and then he can go straight up top, and it's XP efficient for him because he can look for a top play. And that's why Nocturne mirrored the path, because Nocturne just wants to cover lanes, because his actual his actual like direct gank assistance isn't very good, but his counter gank assistance is really good. So that's what he's doing right now. He's covering lanes. That's just unfortunate. Zven dies here. Yeah. That's just a misplay by Zven. And this is also a misplay. We get to see the replay of this, so I'll just pause that. I want to say they get double stunned by the Camille. Because they can definitely win. TSM's team can definitely win that 2v2. Good play by Viper, but I think mostly a misplay by TSM. That's good, TSM looking for this play, because they had the minion wave pushed into the tower. So Viper actually doesn't get anything from this, but I think we do get to see the replay of the other play. Yeah, I just needed to back and TP back in. Just a little bit greedy. Making some greedy plays this season. Okay. Let's see. Okay, them bunching up like this, not good. So, did Akaadian get the camp? They get double stunned right here, which was really bad. So them getting double stunned was really bad right here. But the reason why they go for this play is because look at the tower right now. Even if somebody dies over here, I mean, obviously that's bad because Santorin's about to get a bunch of gold. But Viper actually gets set behind from this play. But them getting double stunned was really bad. So them bunching up against this wall was really bad. That's what lost them that fight, because they can definitely win that 2v2. And that's why they went for that, and they also went for that for their prio. But actually, Viper lost out on that play. Like Broken Blade's ahead from that play, and that's actually more important than Santorin getting ahead. So it like, you know, FlyQuest gets a kill from that, or like Santorin gets a kill from that, and that's really big for him getting his level 6 a little bit faster and getting out on the map a little bit better. But it's actually not that bad for TSM. Viper does lose out on a lot of XP. Okay. Alright, Santorin's level 6, and Broken Blade doesn't have ultimate. So if Viper can get the lane to push back into him, then that could be definitely a place you can look for a gank. So Akaadian's already pathing back towards top. He'll get... I think he's going to take this for himself, this blue buff, because it'll give him level 6, because he's just behind. So he took it for himself. Yeah, so he's looking for a counter gank. The reason why Akaadian's up here right now is because the Nocturne, he knows Nocturne has ult, and Broken Blade doesn't have flash. Oof. Yeah. It's just hard. It's hard to win those at level 6. You have to like outplay that as the Jayce player, but it's actually like brain dead as Nocturne Camille, but really good gank setup by Nocturne Camille. Hard to win that as the Sejuani Jayce. Probably just need to CC luck somebody as they come in. But that's heads up by Akaadian, like he knew to be up there, like because that was obviously what was going to happen. But just good play by FlyQuest, honestly. That's what they need to do. But again, the kill gold goes over to Santorin. Again, thing to remember is the kill gold goes over to Santorin, and the wave was already pushed into the tower. So once again, Broken Blade actually doesn't get denied. So like the kill is great and important, and the Nocturne gets ahead, but the Camille is actually not any more ahead, and that's actually the goal of the actual goal of these ganks is to get the Camille ahead, and the Camille's actually not ahead at all. And the Ghost Blade's about to be complete. Nice. Nice. Solid gank. Yep, he still wins out on trades. Thinks about it. Okay. Now they're fighting over vision control over the Drake. Something that Tahm Kench offers is a lot of river control, but Bjergsen is on a back timing right now, so they're kind of fighting over vision. Okay, Zoe's on a back timing, so they might look to push in for some vision control right now. Yep. Just a little bit of vision control. That pink actually doesn't spot that other ward. Okay, the ward just dies anyways. Get some recon. Yep, Varus is on a back timer, so they just exchange vision again. And TSM really just wants, they have their one item timings, so as soon as this laning phase ends, it's actually really pretty good for them. I mean, Jayce is having a fun time in lane, and like laning phase isn't going that bad for them, but them being spread out on the map like this with the Nocturne prowling is not all that great at this specific item timing. Isn't that amazing? Like it's fine. Like it's fine, but if this game turned in like all I'm saying is like if this game turned into like an ARAM game to where like we have the 3 units mid and like Bjergsen and Broken Blade in the side lane type of deal, the Nocturne would obviously have a lot of pressure, but TSM wouldn't mind that at all. Because their item timings are actually so good right now. TSM plays this dive pretty well. They expend all their summoners, but not dying from that is actually pretty good. Because now we can path towards top side. Look to make a play top side and kind of end the laning phase. Because if the laning phase ends, it's actually pretty good for TSM because of their item timings. They're all at their 1 item spikes, and their 1 item spikes are super good. I hope I explained that well. I don't think I explained that very well. Why this is good for them. Like ending laning phase. Even though obviously like the impact Nocturne's gonna have on the side lanes is really like, you know, you're having your Jayce on the side lane. But having your Jayce on the side lane and then the Jayce rotates over and the pressure you can actually have on a siege and then the control you can have over neutrals, just the fighting potential you have at the 2 lethality items is really, really strong. All right, Jayce got that. So they might just look to rotate over and grab the Rift Herald and then pressure mid with it. FlyQuest is either going to fight for that or trade objectives. So it looks like they want to fight for it, but they're a little late to the play. Yeah, they're a little late to the play. Yeah, it seems like they probably should have just traded objectives there. Huh. Now Jayce can clear out top side, and they So Jayce can now clear out top side, and they can probably rotate this 3-man group over to mid, use the Rift Herald to crack mid, and then rotate the whole team down river to take the neutral and look for a fight. They can maybe do that if they want to. That's a play they can look to do. TSM. Especially with Sivir being on a back timing. Jayce is on a back timing too. Yeah, it looks like Jayce is coming mid right now. They're looking to get control over this neutral. Okay, he's just going back top to answer. They're calling the play off, so yeah, okay. So they were looking like they wanted to do that play, but they're just going to go for a back instead. Cool. Yeah, so he's just ulting to get back the lane. So FlyQuest knows they're on a back timing, so they're just moving in for vision control. So everybody just keeps exchanging vision. You know, when I talk about games, I always talk about the team that's in the driver's seat, and even though FlyQuest is in a gold lead, it feels like TSM's in the driver's seat just based on how they opened up the map, and where they are with their item timings. Like the gold difference doesn't actually mean anything. But FlyQuest pulling the trigger on the play. Good counter gank by Akaadian. Dodges out. Or still ends up getting him. Nice. Good heads up by Akaadian. Oh, I thought Broken Blade had the Rift Herald the whole time. Oh yeah, Viper TP'd behind him. Broken Blade does get denied a minion wave, but he just gets gobbled up here. Oof, chaotic fight. They will get denied a minion wave mid, it looks like. FlyQuest will. Broken Blade got denied a minion wave top side. So it's good for him. Here's the fight again. Yep, that's called having a Tahm Kench on your team. He's the no fun zone. And Akaadian was ready for the counter gank, so that was good setup. Good setup by TSM. And they're just rotating their members over for the neutral. They're just going to give topside. So they're just trading topside for Drake. Which, you know, admittedly, is an okay trade within the context of TSM has a poke comp, so that it's a good takeaway from FlyQuest. But not bad for FlyQuest, you know, getting that extra gold on the map. But Jayce is just wanting to be bottom anyway because he wants to get this gold from the tower, and now he can just have the Varus Tahm Kench mid, looking to poke. So Jayce can just pressure up, and then he can rotate mid whenever he wants to. Or he can just look to play the side lane and win out in the side lane if he really wants to. He did actually get getting a cleaver, so that's looking like he just wants to win the side lane right now. So this is going to be a little bit of a farm fest for a minute, looking up to farm up for priority in mid, and then pushing over and fighting for vision or around the objective that you want. So the objective that's obviously up is Baron. So looking for that. FlyQuest have some options in terms of pick. So whenever the Nocturne gets around to being on this side of the map, can look for picks around there, or Nocturne can look for a play in the side lane. So looking for FlyQuest have a lot of options to get leads in this game right now, where they can look to just make a big play onto Jayce, or get over here and they start fighting for vision, and Zoe look for a pick, and then Nocturne kind of capitalize on it. The only issue is Smoothie being the no fun zone, and the other issue is if the Nocturne goes down bottom, then what happens to your mid tower, and what happens to your Zoe? So that's another thing they're having to deal with right now. Yeah, so they just get prio on mid, and then they clear out vision. So Sejuani, alright, yeah. So the reason why Akaadian went bottom side to do that is he was just shadowing to see if a Nocturne was going to gank. And he got a pink down here for him too. So that made sense. So next time whenever they do this, they might just keep rotating down here to make sure he gets his tower. So that makes sense, rather than going top. Right, so now what they should be doing every time they clear priority, After they reset their wards, they'll come up here and they'll try to clear out River Vision. Or they'll fight for it. So they're going to reset, and then next time they'll fight for mid priority, and then they'll be doing the same thing but on top side. Yep. See. And now this is where the game gets kind of tenuous. So this is going to come down to the Jayce is rotating mid. So now what this is telling is TSM is really looking to get this tower. So breaking this mid tower is going to be really big for TSM because then they can start pressuring into this lane and start getting some forward vision into the jungle, so they can cut off FlyQuest's chance of getting like pick and control with the Zoe pick, and they can just basically win out in trades with Varus and Jayce. Yeah, so they just ult Pobelter there just to get the tower, and then they'll get river control, and then they'll reset Jayce into the side lane. Be interesting to see if teams actually want to fight up for this Cloud Drake. That's what they want to deal battle. So now that TSM has all of the outer towers, they have a lot of control over neutrals right now. Since they have their middle tower and FlyQuest doesn't, so they can actually get vision control over choke points. So getting vision control over choke points and actually taking the objectives they want will be really good for them. FlyQuest doesn't have a lot of Baron threat, so they can just peel back and go to the Cloud if they want to. So that might be what they look to do right now. Yep. It's really hard for Fly to contest this because they don't have vision of their choke points on their own. Yep, they'll just look back for mid prio. Jayce will rotate back bottom to answer. And everybody will be looking for a back timing soon. So soon everybody will be resetting, and we'll be doing the Baron dance once again. But TSM do have the advantage that they can get vision over choke points into the enemy jungle, so be looking for that. And this next fight can come down a little bit to if TSM can land some poke and look for a pick. And on the flip side, it's the same thing for FlyQuest. If they can find a good chance to get a pick off, but if Smoothie's in the right position, it's going to be really difficult for FlyQuest to do a lot with their team composition at this specific point in the game. Because they don't win, like at this point in the game, they don't win out in the side lane. Like their side laner doesn't win. They really can't one-shot anybody on the side. They really don't one-shot anybody in the team fight, and their marksman hasn't outscaled the enemy marksman. And you know the Sivir 6-item Sivir is insane, right? But 6-item lethality Varus in this specific game is still insane. Like you still actually like one-shot people. Like you still half-health people with a couple autos in a Q, or like one-shot people with a couple autos in a Q, or an empowered Q. So like the outscaling potential isn't like how it would normally be in this matchup. So they do get some decent poke on the Zven, but it gets all of his health back. So yeah, they're just giving the tower because they saw the Nocturne. But TSM answers with making a play on top. Okay, we will get to see this replay because I do want to break down this replay because Pobelter plays that really well. But this is the power of having a goddamn Alistar ultimate. Jesus Christ. Look how long Bjergsen is alive. Okay, we're going to watch this replay because I do want to see this fight. There is a replay to this though. So this was an answering play because they saw the Nocturne bottom. That was set up by an Abyssal Voyage. Okay. Okay. Let's watch this replay. And then they get the Baron. Oh, this is actually really clean. Okay, so let's look at this setup. So Bjergsen was already pressuring topside. So he was already pushing in topside, and Sejuani wasn't already here. They saw the Nocturne coming over these wards. So they, I don't know why I'm pointing as if you can see my hand right now. They saw the Nocturne coming over these wards. That's why Broken Blade was pulling off. So this was what FlyQuest was saying. They're setting this up so they can take this tower, which makes a lot of sense, right? Which makes a lot of sense. So since this is happening, Akaadian just pushes into the topside jungle. And the ability for Tahm, Kench, Varus to just rotate all the way over and Jayce having TP means they can get all 5 members instantly onto this Zoe, like instantly. So they just pull the trigger on here, and they know that at worst this is going to be a 5v4 because they can see that the Nocturne isn't recalling right now. So the Nocturne has to recall right now, is the game plan, but he doesn't recall in time, so then the game plan is for him to actually just push the lane. So we can watch this. I'm going to watch this in half speed. Pobelter plays this pretty well. When I watched this live, it looked like he played it really well. So Bjergsen missed out on the stun. That's fine. It's kind of hard to hit. So he lands asleep. So it's pretty clutch. Flashes right there. So he flashes to get the distance, and then the ult hits him, and then he cleanses. So he gets so much distance. They can't finish him, right? So that's actually really good by Pobelter. He just gets like everybody's cooldowns. But as soon as Alistar gets in here, yoinks an Alistar ult. Who's taking aggro right now? Oh, okay. Hold on, let's whoopsies. I did an oopsies. Sorry, friends. Okay. Sorry, I did an oopsies. Okay, let's watch this. Okay, so we see the Pobelter. Flashes out. Cleanses the ult. Gets max distance. Dodges out on the stun. Really well played by Pobelter. And then Akaadian takes aggro, then Smoothie takes aggro. Or I think Bjergsen has aggro. No, nobody has aggro. What the hell? Okay, nobody has aggro. Now Bjergsen has aggro. The Alistar ult keeps them alive forever. They flash out. Looks like they're going to lose this fight now. But the amount of heal and the shock blast hitting right there is insane. And the amount of poke that comes through from the empowered Q from Varus. So nobody had cooldowns there, except for like the extended cooldowns from Broken Blade coming in, and then like the bait potential that Sylas can offer, and as well as like I can't overstate the power of Alistar ult on Sylas is insane. It's like the best ultimate on him. Yep, and that gives him a free tower. And then they reset, and this play was amazing. So okay, so they instantly TP into the pit. Do they have? All right, so they have complete river control. Okay, actually, he walks over a ward so they see it. He walks over a ward so they see it, but they know that they just killed the top laner, so the top laner can't come, and the rest of them are going to have to back because they have 0 health. Okay, let me see the live screen. I need to see where Nocturne went. Okay, Santorin started walking back to base. He's like, there's no way they Baron. So they didn't actually have vision over the pit. They just had vision of right here. So they were maybe thinking that like the reason why Varus TP'd in was to prevent them from doing Baron, but they just instantly TP and doing Baron. So pretty next level play. So that was just heads up. Just solid play. I don't think FlyQuest could actually contest with the top laner being down. So with the top laner being down, TSM just instantly TPs in to take the Baron. And, Varus damage on Baron's pretty good. And they didn't have vision in the pit, so Nocturne's not even able to ult in there anyways. They would actually have to walk up and face check to get that. I couldn't see the Baron setup, so I couldn't see if they are actually like properly setting up or anything like that. So I couldn't even see And now TSM Siege with Baron is insane. So that was like an 80% play they took there, and that's really great that they took that rather than it being a 100% play, because TSM Siege is insane with Zven and BB. Just Jayce and Varus. Their siege is just insane. So Akaadian can just play the side flanks. They can just look to play like that. Let's see if this play actually works out. Hard thing about the FlyQuest team comp is when they go in. I don't even know how this play even turns out, but when they go in, whoever Nocturne ults just instantly gets gobbled up, and then whoever Viper ults as well is probably the target that Nocturne ulted as well. And then Turtle is just left here with no tank line to fight with. So that's a tough thing for him to be able to fight with. Okay, let's watch. This is in half speed. Yeah, so Varus is safe. BB's a little hurt. Sylas isn't in this fight, so okay, good flash by BB. Heads up, good play by Pobelter, honestly. Misses out on the ulti. Feels bad. Alright, but they have TSM as minions top. Won't be able to get anything. Actually, pretty good play by FlyQuest. So engaging right there rather than just getting siege down. So that's the play that you actually want to do with FlyQuest's comp, especially in that situation, because not pulling the trigger there would just make them get pushed in forever. But the issue with their comp, the same, is they just have so much trouble ever killing, Zven. Is they're gonna have so much trouble ever killing him, and then they don't really have another target. Okay, so I'll talk about Broken Blade buying these two items. It's obviously a misclick. He just misclicked the item, so don't really need to say anything about that. He just misclicked. He misclicked the item. Completely happens. He meant to buy a Dustblade or an Edge of Night, but it just happens. He tried to sell it, but it wasn't worth. And then he sells it later. Yeah, but TSM Siege is really disgusting. So. They just have to go in. I think that was Bjergsen's Nocturnal. Okay, yeah, that was Bjergsen's Nocturnal. Yeah. Alright, and they'll just rotate down and grab the cloud. It's going to be double cloud. It feels nice. Amount of maneuverability in fights will feel good. Alright, and the reason why they went for bot inhibitor, so bot inhibitor is super valuable because this Baron is going to be spawning in 1 minute and 50 seconds. So that bot inhibitor being down for the next 4.5 minutes is super valuable because they'll have supers on bottom side, so they can actually just have their side laner pressuring top rather than bottom. Ooh, hold on, I'll talk about this. They can have their side laner pressuring top rather than bottom, and they have free priority bottom, and they can get a lot of forward vision just controlling this top quadrant, and forcing FlyQuest to either face check this top quadrant or give them Baron for free, so TSMs will always have the jump on the enemy. Like this. Yeah, okay. They get out Pobelter's flash. They just trade out Smoothie's Ignite and his ultimate. And Zven's ultimate, but it'll be back up for the next fight. But yeah, so now they can just get mid top prio, and they have free bottom prio, and they just want to control top. They just want to control vision up here, forcing the enemy to face check, or forcing them to give them Baron. So it's very dire straits for FlyQuest right now. TSM is on a back timing right now, so FlyQuest is able to push in and try to clear for vision again. But the same thing's about to happen, right? So TSM, if they want to play it slow, they can just push in, take this minion wave, and then retake vision right here. And they'll get free prio bottom, and we'll get a free Baron or a free fight. So they can just look to do that. Like Bjergsen got chunked, so that's what they'll end up doing. These supers are really stacking up right now, so they can actually do that. So yeah, with the supers stacking up, they can actually just look for Baron. Okay, so this Baron setup actually isn't. This Baron setup isn't actually that great, so they don't have a lot of deterrence in their team composition from And set up. Bjergsen being in base does definitely hurt them, but he might be able to get a juicy flank. And like the dream here is Santorin comes in for a steal. But let's watch this at half speed because we're going to see it. Okay. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, so the Baron's at 2k and they're going to stop hitting it. Okay, the Baron's at 2k and they're just going to stop hitting it and then knock Santorin down to his Zhonya's and then take the Baron. So that's how you do it. Okay? It sucks. There's not a good decision for Santorin to do there. He has to ult in at 2k, right? He has to ult in at 2k. And then either he Zhonya's there or he goes down to GA. So there's really not a good decision for him to make there. So just good play by TSM. And then this is a free fight from here, most likely, right? Look at Alistar ultimate. It just keeps you alive forever. What are you supposed to do with that? Yeah, and then you just push in mid and top, and this is a free win. This is probably how the game ends, right? Bot inhibitor is about to respawn, but it kind of doesn't matter. There's already supers there that have to be answered, and TSM Siege is absolutely disgusting. But FlyQuest comp definitely is a lot harder to execute in this game. I think the Camille pick was really bad. Definitely got debated in the draft and wanting to like set up the split pusher for success. I think Camille has a lot of really hard time in the split push right now. It's just the amount of time it takes for her to be really successful in split push is just way too long. And specifically in this game, her target selection in terms of who she's going to kill, her and Nocturne, it's really tough. So I think TSM played the draft really well and then just played the game pretty solid. Can't think of really a lot of int plays other than Zven overstaying in lane after getting poked out a little bit. Could have been a little bit better, and that play they made around top side, just bunching up. That play was the right idea, but just bunching up for the Camille stun was bad. And on FlyQuest side, just that Nocturne play around bottom whenever they go for when he was shadowing to get the turret. He should have saw that he was walking over vision. I want to say he walked over the pink ward, so he should have saw he walked over vision. So as soon as the Jayce was giving the tower, should have recalled. But that was also just a next level play by TSM. But you know, if you're going to be a high level team, you got to start expecting that type of stuff. You know, if you watch the LCK, like that's just what teams do. You know. So, anyways, pretty solid game by TSM. Pretty solid game by FlyQuest, honestly. A really good game by TSM, but pretty solid game by FlyQuest. I think FlyQuest had a really hard draft to execute for this game. I don't think their draft was that bad. I think it was hard to fit the Sivir pick into what they were trying to do and with the Camille. I think specifically this game was really hard to execute the draft that they had. But props to TSM. They had a lot of creative plays. I think FlyQuest had to be really creative in order to win this game. So, but really props to TSM. But anyways, that's it for this VoD review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making this one. I'm gonna stop talking and find the stop record button now. Oh, I found it. Okay, cool. I found it. All right, bye-bye. Bye. Bye.